Hey guys, it's Matt Hanham here and welcome to the Amplify Your Business podcast. Okay, we're here with Andrew Murphy today, and Andrew, my pleasure to have you on the show.
Thanks, Matt.
Why don't we start off by you just saying a little bit about who you are and what you do?
All right, so my name's Andrew Murphy, owner of Arise Digital. We basically do cinematic video and professional photography for businesses.
For businesses, and so who are you and what do you do? No, just kidding. So, all right, awesome. So for everyone that catch that, you help make good video for businesses to reach their audiences, right?
Yeah,
and
definitely.
Photography, and you've done some pretty diverse things. So, how did you get going? Like, how did you get started? When did video photography? When did cameras come into your life?
So probably when I was in about year 7 or 8. So I don't even know how long ago that was. Like maybe like
It's young, man. So
12,
13
13 years ago.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you're still young, right?
Very young.
Spring chicken.
Yeah. So, sorry. Let's go back even further. So as I was growing up, my dad pretty much documented our whole life.
Really?
The video camera, yeah.
Okay.
So he had the old like VHS camera recorder. So I've pretty much got my life on video up until I don't know, maybe like 18.
See, I know you pretty well, but I did not know that.
Yeah. So I think that's maybe where it kind of stemmed from.
Yeah.
So coming up with that video side of things, always getting filmed, I think it kind of bled off onto me a little bit.
Right.
So that was pretty cool. And then, yeah, probably at about 12 or 13, I got my mum and dad's little digital Happy Snaps camera. And me and my mate used to make little like special effects videos. So I used to go to his farm with him, and we'd kind of shoot little clips here and there, and then I'd kind of watch the latest or what's happening on special effects and stuff and try to create those effects. So I used to go on a website called videocopilot.net and watch all their After Effects tutorials, and then we used to do things like teleportation and like fire hands and all that kind of stuff. So that's where it kind of really started, and I was kind of like, this is kind of something cool I want to start doing.
Not showing your age at all, or mine even. Whereas I grew up, I'm pretty sure my dad had an analog or film camera. I mean, I'm only 35. You're making me feel old, mate.
Sorry.
We had analog camera. I wasn't going on websites, not when I was a kid, but let alone looking up special effects and being able to create them. The only special effects I could create was pressing record on my tape deck and trying to dub something over the top of. Who knows? Yeah. Something that was something that had been already dubbed off the radio. So anyway,
I actually used to do that as well. Didn't used to download MP3s. You'd get a tape recorder to record the radio, so then you could have a copy of the song. Yeah,
and there was always a little trick where you had to like press the record play, but that was really slow. Yeah. So the best thing was to have it on pause, and the pause button you could really quickly fire off with like half a second, no human error. Yeah. Otherwise you'd lose the start of your song because you'd be waiting, and then you hear this quick, record it, and if you miss the first bit of it, they'd only play the song like twice in a whole day.
And you didn't want to get that little bit of fill at the start because they just ruined the song.
Oh, that's right. So anyway, memories for me, but I guess you might have done a little bit of that, but not so much.
No.
Anyway, so tell me. So what else do you do? Tell me something about outside of work, or what's something that your friends or family might know about you that others don't in a business setting.
So in terms of hobbies and stuff, I'm really into cars. Kind of been into cars ever since I've kind of got my P's. When was that? That was, I don't even know. Yeah, pretty much. Like 8 years ago. So, ever since kind of then, being around cars, always loved working on cars. Kind of, it's a good way. A lot of my friends are really into cars, so it's a good way to bring us together and kind of have some fun and work on cars together, which has been really good. And then just drifting as well, which obviously relates to the cars and running the drift club and stuff.
Yep. So you're involved in the WA drift community.
Yeah. So D1WA is the local drift club that I help run.
All right. We can link this up. I mean, there's a fair bit of footage, etc., that you've been involved in, right? Which is obviously on there as well, so they can check out their Facebook page or otherwise.
Yeah.
Cool. So what's your poison? What's your car? What do you drive?
I got a Nissan Silvia S13, and I'm currently putting a V8 in it. So
Currently putting a V8 in it.
yeah, so
I owned one of those cars back in the day. They're pretty light car to put a V8.
I think it's like 1,300 before you kind of start stripping stuff out. I think once you get everything out and kind of do a bit of weight reduction, you can get them out to about 1,100 kilos.
Yeah.
Which isn't that much.
And then what does the V8 weigh?
I don't think they weigh much, but they make stupid amounts of power.
Yeah.
Like, it'll make, it should have make over 300 horsepower, which is like another 100 horsepower on what the engine in it made that I actually kind of did some work to. So it won't be shying power, that's for sure.
Nice. When's that ready?
Hoping sometime next year.
Next year.
Yeah, it's kind of just been on the back burner while I help grow the business and stuff.
Right, slow process.
Yeah, definitely.
All right. Well, look, let's talk a little bit about social and business, and let's talk marketing. I mean, jumping into marketing, obviously you're creating video content, you're creating vlogs, other things as well. What sort of format and what platforms are you excited about at the moment? What's got your interest?
Obviously Facebook is a huge one for us. Instagram, we're on there at the moment. We're kind of delving more into it with the stories and whatnot. There's a guy called Jesse Driftwood, who's a really good guy for Instagram stories. So he basically does full vlog kind of episodes, you could say, but in the Instagram story format. So it's that 1920 by 1080 vertical. But he does your music, your sound effects, all that kind of stuff that you do in a normal vlog, but specifically designed for Instagram stories, which is really cool. I guess you don't really see a lot of that. Everyone just kind of defaults straight to YouTube. So it's nice being able to see that in a form that you can just watch really quickly. So like if you just have, like a minute or two quickly, you can just go onto Instagram, quickly watch it, instead of having to kind of go onto YouTube, search it up, and most episodes on YouTube can be 5 to 10 minutes long of actual vlogs. So it's nice being able to just quickly search on something like that. In terms of other stuff, I don't know, obviously LinkedIn video is kind of turning into a big thing for us. We're researching that a bit more. But I guess anything for us being video, anything that kind of has native video on it is a really good platform for us.
Yeah, okay. So where's it all going in the future? I mean, where do you... I mean, that's a big open-ended question, but more in the next few years, 3 to 5 years. I mean, how do you think video is going to be transformed in a business setting, and does VR get involved in your point of view at this point, or is it something that's still a little further out in the radar, or VR, AR, all these things?
Yeah, I think VR is definitely in the next few years. I reckon it will definitely pick up. We've kind of been dabbling in it a little bit, just trying to understand the technology and what's been happening and what's going to be happening. But definitely kind of that integration between real life live footage and that digital stuff, but in a seamless way. So instead of, like the old days where you'd do your filming and then you'd go into your post-production, you'd create all the effects, like having that all come together into one, so you don't have to do all those after effects sort of thing in post-production. It just all happens in the one thing. I guess kind of like Avatar, if you've seen the behind the scenes of that. So the James Cameron, I think it's directed. Yeah, so James Cameron developed a way of filming that where they basically had these. It's so weird watching the behind the scenes because it's all on blue screen, and the film. So the cameraman had these weird stick looking. It wasn't an actual camera, but it was kind of like what a camera would be, and then they track it into a digital camera, so they can basically watch what it's actually going to look like after it's all been kind of rendered in real time as the actors are acting. So I guess having that combination of the live action with your digital stuff is kind of where I reckon it's going to go.
He invented that technology as he was for that movie, I think, didn't he?
Possibly.
I think he was creating that, because it didn't exist. I mean, it wasn't there.
Yeah. So from what I've heard, he came up with the idea about 10 years earlier, or roughly about 10 years earlier, but because the technology wasn't there, he had to basically hold off, and then until the point where it actually came out, where they had the technology to be able to do what he wanted to do. So
right, incredible.
It's pretty cool.
So you really think that we'll be in a place where we're doing that in 3 to 5 years, just in business grade video?
Definitely. Well, even with the iPhone X and stuff coming out, where that's kind of bringing that augmented reality thing in. just being able to have that power of technology and like a small phone form factor is just ridiculous.
Yeah.
And then imagine even in like 12 months time when that technology starts coming into like your mainstream and everyone that can.
But that's the thing. Like, do you think we can really? I feel like people are only getting a handle on even doing a video well. If you
it's definitely progressing very quick.
So like, I completely in agreement that there'll be some fringe of technology there available to play around with. I wonder whether it's what it really looks like from a commercial sort of standpoint. But I guess time will tell, and I'm really excited about it. Obviously, we're working on some things together too.
Yeah.
And I feel like it's I feel like it's going to take longer than we think, to sort of really start to happen. But I think there's some really cool stuff, which will happen in the next few years.
Yeah. To be in like kind of, I guess everyone's like your consumer hands are definitely a lot longer.
Well, the thing is,
but
the funny thing around, sorry to cut you off, but like the funny thing there is like I think in the consumer hands they'll have it, because they'll have the iPhone X. Much like they've had a video capability on their phone for quite a few years, and they're only just starting to make it happen now. So I think they'll actually have the tech in their hands quite a way before they're really comfortable in using it, other than maybe like what Snapchat might do or others to for a bit of AR fun like through it, through filters and etc. So it's really interesting. I think it's going to be a really fun space to keep an eye out for. Yeah.
And definitely on that as well, the 360.
Yeah.
I reckon 360 is going to be a big thing. Yeah. It takes away that that hassle of having to think about what you're shooting so much. Like the GoPro Fusion's coming out, or just come out. That's actually really interesting to me, because it means that for people that want to vlog and document stuff but aren't so video savvy, so they don't know how to frame stuff, how to point your camera, all that. It takes away all those skills that you need to learn. You can pretty much just hold it wherever you want, and it will capture everything. And then you have the technology to go in afterwards and choose the shots that you want from basically capturing everything, which is really cool.
Because you're taking a much broader scale of raw data, right? So you can basically cut that down with much more ease. Yeah.
A good example of that. Sorry, I know I need to
but
a good example of that is I was actually talking to someone the other weekend at one of our drifting events, and I went for a passenger ride and I was taking some footage, and we were tandeming, so we were basically really close to another car mid drift, and I reached out to the other driver and we were holding hands, and I was trying to film it at the same time, but because obviously I was so excited about holding his hand mid drift, the camera kind of went slightly off to the right, missed the moment, and then we just captured the back. But like we were talking about literally just before, we were like, oh, this would be perfect for a GoPro Fusion. And then that happened, and then being able to watch it after, it was like being able to have that capability to then go, oh, I missed that moment, but it doesn't matter because I can just quickly tweak it and get that moment. It just takes away that.
It takes human error away, right?
Exactly.
It takes away, I guess, some of the timing and other things that can come from technology too. So will that make it harder for some though? I mean, I know the technology will be there to be able to then cut things down, if you know what I mean, and compress, one of a better word, a lot of raw data down into what you want. Does that then mean there's a lot more skill required to sort of make that happen, or do you think the technology will just automate a lot of things out of the equation?
I think the post-process or the post-production side of things will get a lot more complicated.
Yeah.
But, GoPro's getting ridiculous now. Like, GoPro knows when the best moments are in the footage that you captured, and it automatically cuts together like your best of sequence. I don't know how it does that, some sort of wizardry, but it basically goes, oh yes, so like say you're surfing and it goes, okay, there must be a movement thing, so there's no movement, so this isn't interesting. When there's more movement and it realizes that this is kind of the section that you want, and it basically grabs those bits, compiles all the clips together into a highlights reel, so then you can basically just go, oh, let's have a look at what happened today, and it will basically make something for you.
That's interesting. I haven't used a GoPro in a while. So
it's really cool.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Cool. So what other sort of technology are you keeping an eye on at the moment?
I guess just all like the general video stuff, like cameras that are coming out. I think.
Do you think the tech's becoming more accessible for everyone? Better quality tech?
Definitely. Yeah. Like, I remember when I got my very first video camera, I think it cost me about maybe like $1,200 when I was like 15, maybe like 14, 15. And I remember that was standard definition. And
there was no HD then, was
no,
there?
There was no HD, yeah. So it was standard definition. And we used to film that. We used to like film skateboarding and stuff. And then maybe like 3 years later, I saved up enough and HD was out. So I got a HD camera. I think that was probably about the same, probably about 13, 14, 1500. And I did a comparison video, which we might actually be able to link it, between SD and HD, and just the difference in like your color and your clarity. And I was like, my mind was absolutely blown. Like, this is like ridiculous. And then, like nowadays with even just 1080p, like full HD from now to back in the day, it's so much better. And then obviously 4K's come out. Like some of the good cameras do like 8K. It's just getting ridiculous. But just being able to see that jump from like that standard definition to then go into 1080p, and then now like your iPhone can do better quality videos than like what my camera could do like back in the day. Like it's just ridiculous.
It's just insane the rate of speed. Or sorry, the rate of change with tech. So what are getting involved and getting excited with innovation and tech, and obviously filming, and then a lot of post-production. How do you balance that between business and
not very well at the moment?
And getting the nuts and bolts done. How do you sort of keep the two sane, and how do you allow yourself the time to work on the post-production and also vice versa then on the business?
At the moment, we're not doing it very well. We've been spending a lot of our time on projects, just trying to get everything done. I've been very busy the last few months, which is really good for the business, but it's also really bad for the business. Yeah. Like I remember, I think I said to you when I first met you, like it's a bad thing to not have business, but then it can also be a bad thing to have too much business. Yeah. And I never could get the grasp of that. I was like, oh, wow, like why is it a bad thing having too much business? But now it's getting to the point where it's like we're getting so much work through the door that our time has to go into projects, but then we also have to put aside time to obviously develop the business, and it's hard getting that that balance between the two. But definitely just having to set aside time and just go, we're going to do 2 hours on this day to work on the business, and just having to stop what we're doing and just doing that, because obviously. So how
do you structure your week then? Like, what is it?
So I generally have fixed things. So Monday mornings we do our social media stuff. So I sit down with our social media manager, go through kind of what we want for the week, and upload any more content to our platform, all that kind of stuff. And then kind of go through a bit of accounting stuff, basically get set up for the week, and then basically block out the projects in probably say 2 to 3 hour slots of what we need to do. So it'd be like, I need to film for 3 hours today, and then after that 3 hours, I know there's going to be a 4 hour editing block. So then I block out the editing blocks in my calendar, and then trying to work out that, as well as we try to have fixed business development hours in our week, which at the moment haven't been really working that well.
Just get bled into a little bit by other stuff.
But definitely, I've seen a difference when I had the structure, how much better everything flowed. Because obviously, if you say you've got a 2 hour block and you go over by half an hour, and then you're like, oh, I'll just make that up. I'll just go over half an hour in the next one, and then you go over half an hour in the next one. By the time you've gone over that, then the next one goes out an hour, or something. Yeah, exactly. So definitely having that structure and sticking to it is a huge thing for us.
Yeah. All right. So what other sort of challenges have you faced sort of growing the business? Was there anything that sort of stopped you from getting started?
Not really. I actually probably didn't do the best decision when I started the business. I basically quit my job and went straight into it full time, and realised that I was good at what I did, but I didn't know anything about running a business.
It's interesting. I'd actually probably argue that was the best decision.
Yeah. I always tell people it's either has to be 100% or 0%. There's no 50-50, 70-30. You have to go 100% in.
So you just think you weren't ready?
100%, yeah.
But then, no, you're never ready, right?
Yeah, I think I probably could have spent another, say, 3 months in my job, and then spent all my spare time just learning business stuff. So just general stuff like how to do accounts, like how to do invoices. Like I literally do nothing. Like I just went out and was like, that's sweet. All right, where's all this work coming from? Like I didn't know. I assumed that you kind of go put out a little bit of work and then people just start calling you and they're like, hey, let's do some work together. Like, I didn't understand it. I didn't know anything about marketing. Like, I didn't know anything, which is obviously now I know a lot more about. But yeah, it was just like, I just went all out and was like, cool, let's do this. And then the first 12 months of the business, it was just a struggle. Like we didn't make any money. We lost thousands of dollars. Like it was a very tough time, but it was also a good learning experience, definitely.
Yeah, cool. So, you know, I think, you know, it's interesting because it really is the only way. Yeah. Like either you jump off the building cliff, whatever you want to call it metaphorically, or you don't. And if you do go into something with a safety net, or nothing wrong with having like a plan B or a bit of a backstop, but like a genuine safety net, it's really hard to actually make a mistake and get in there and learn something fast. Yeah. So like it's ironic that you would almost say, you know, it was a mistake, but at the same time, you know, you knew it was right and you knew it was the only way. Because how else would you have learned? I mean, there's no way you would have sat down on a Thursday night at 7 o'clock and just gone, you know what? I'm going to learn how to balance some books tonight.
Yeah, exactly.
Like there's no conceivable Thursday night ever that was going to happen until it needed to have happened 2 weeks ago. Yeah. And you're like, all right, I better figure this out now. Yeah. Because you didn't
pressure's
know it.
On.
Figured it out. The pressure's more than on. The pressure's on. It's overdue.
Yeah.
And now I need to do it, right?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. So, I mean, if you structure your week like that and you try and keep a bit systemized, what do you do to keep healthy? I mean, what's your approach to, I mean, are you really full on? Are you working like crazy hours in the business, or do you still manage to keep it relatively sane? Do you work out? Do you what do you do to maintain some sanity?
Yeah, cool. So I used to do 8 till 6. Well, originally I started 9 till 5 because that's just what the structure that I was used to. Yeah. And then I bumped it up to 8 till 6. And then I probably did that for about 2 months and then realized that I wasn't actually getting any more work done with the extra 2 hours. So then I cut it back to 9 till about 4. And it got better, but now it's kind of like 9 till it's generally about 5, but if I need stuff to go, I can kind of go till 6, 7, 8, 9, just depending on, I do structure it a bit around what my partner's doing. So generally if she's working, say like a Thursday night, then I'll spend a bit more time on the business on a Thursday night. So then when she's home on the Tuesday night, then we can spend a bit more time together. Yeah. In terms of fitness, so we get up at 5:30 every morning. Go for a walk with our dog, and then generally go for about a half. Or it's 4.5, 5K run to kind of get things going, and then do a bit of stretching or yoga depending on what the day is. I try to alternate, and just kind of use that to set up, and then get into some breakfast, kind of all that stuff, and then I generally have about half an hour, 45 minutes before I actually start work, so I can kind of have a bit of time to myself to relax and get into that headspace before I get into it. I think that's been a huge factor in terms of keeping my sanity as well. Yeah. Yeah.
So dogs always help too. Yeah. I've had a dog
sometimes.
for 12 years. They cause a lot of pain and stress and anxiety at times, and damage. But at the same time, they're pretty awesome. So you've only just recently acquired this foster dog, I think it is. So how's that changed you? Changed perspective, changed your life a little bit?
Yeah, definitely. So I kind of stopped exercising for about the first 2 weeks, just because we felt bad leaving her by herself. But now that she's kind of settling in a bit, we take her for a walk in the morning. So we do like a 20-minute walk, and then take her back home, give her some breakfast, and then we go for our run, and then we kind of come back to our. So it's maybe pushed it back a little bit further, but being able to wake up at 5:30, you've already got 3.5 hours before you actually have to start work. So. Yeah. Having that time definitely helps.
So you put a lot of effort into the front end of the day just to make sure that you're set up and ready to go.
Definitely. And awesome. I try not jump on my phone before probably about 7:30, 8 o'clock. So my day used to be wake up at probably 8:30, go straight on my phone, quickly have some breakfast, jump in the shower, go to work. And it's just like you get to work and you're frazzled, like you've already got all this stuff that you know you need to do. Whereas being able to wake up early, do stuff, kind of it's almost my running and my stretching is more like my form of meditation.
Yeah.
I kind of struggle to sit still. I think I've got a bit of ADHD. But that's kind of my form of being able to set myself up for the day. And then once I'm ready, then I can, jump on my emails, jump on whatever, Facebook Messenger, look at the stuff that I need to kind of look through for the day.
Yeah. So do you consume a lot of content?
I've been doing a lot of podcasts recently.
Yeah.
I went through a phase where I used to try watch YouTube while I was working, which did not work at all.
YouTube whilst working.
Yeah, it was very inefficient. But I tried it to see if it would work, but that did not. But yeah, so I try to do podcasts. If I run by myself, I'll always listen to a podcast. A lot of Gary Vee, trying to get me motivated.
Yeah. So is Gary Vee's one of the big ones?
Yeah, pretty much. Every so often I listen to a bit of like Hamish and Andy, just something a bit more cash. But yeah, Gary Vee's the only kind of marketing, whatever, like business related one.
Right.
Definitely.
Yeah. Okay. What other do you consume a lot of vlogs then as well? I mean, how do you keep up with, I guess, what's happening sort of as current best practice with video?
Yeah, quite a few vlogs.
Yep.
So Peter McKinnon is probably one of the biggest ones. He's a guy from Canada who's basically a full-time filmmaker, and he does a lot of, it's basically that cinematic look, which is basically where we've kind of derived our style from. So watching his vlogs and seeing the style that he does, like everything, like kind of the cinematic slow-mo, the music, like all the sound effects, all that kind of stuff. We've kind of adopted those practices into what we do. And that's kind of set up the structure for how we film, which has been really cool.
Yeah, okay. So anyone else? Like what other vlogs and that should people check out? If someone's thinking about setting up a vlog or getting going, I mean, who should they check out?
I just watch kind of a bit of fun stuff every so often, like Corridor Digital. They're a American-based production company, but I generally just watch their kind of like daily Gary Vee sort of style thing. So they just do like what's happening in the office, kind of just fun stuff, which is nice to just be able to kind of watch something that you still get an understanding of what their business is and the stuff that they're doing, but it's just in more of a relaxed, chill kind of way. I have a bit of fun with it, yeah.
Yeah. So what about books? I mean, if I was to ask you the question, you're in prison, you're in solitary confinement for a year, and you had to take one book with you to keep you together, what would it be?
I'm going to admit something too, which I've kind of had to admit to myself recently. I think I'm actually not that into books. I apologise in advance.
I'm just not into books.
Like I've tried. I've tried a lot. Like I can read.
Yeah.
It's not that I don't want to read.
I can read.
Yeah.
I hope so.
I passed the fourth grade. It's fine. I can sit down and read, but I get really distracted. Which just comes back to the ADHD thing. Like I used to get up in the morning and read for the first maybe half an hour, 45 minutes. That's pretty much all I could do. And then like my thoughts started creeping in and I just couldn't read.
Do you consume any audiobooks or anything like that? Or
yeah, definitely the podcast I've found has been the best.
Podcast. Yeah,
a lot. And I think I consume it, understand a bit more and a bit more easier. So having to kind of read something on the page. I do that whole thing. If you read the page and then you go to the next one, then you realize that you haven't actually read any of. You haven't taken in any of the page that you've read, so you have to reread it and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, I've kind of got to the point now where I'm like, I think audiobooks and podcast stuff is the best way for me to consume my content, or video. Definitely, obviously, because we're in video, but definitely more visual stuff rather than having to read what's on the page. Has definitely helped.
So no books then.
I mean, I have read some good ones. Like the Gary Vee book has been really good.
So there you go. You got to go. You got to pick one. I mean, you got to take one in. I mean, it's I've clearly manufactured this little scenario, but okay. So you take in the Gary Vee book, and he'd be by your side for 12 months.
Yeah, that'd be good. Because Gary's pretty motivating. I think everyone knows that. So keep it going.
Cool. All right. So we're going to fire off a few quick questions. Red or black?
Red.
Red.
I'm not sure why.
What's the strangest app you've got on your home screen?
On my home screen, I'll bring it up.
On your first screen.
Sunseeker.
Sunseeker.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's basically, I only just recently got it actually. It's basically an app that tracks the sun. So for general people, it's probably not that exciting. But for obviously being a filmmaker and photographer, it's really good. So we can basically see where the sun is going to be at any one point. And it basically shows you, so you can kind of see, obviously you can't see here, but it basically shows you where the sun is going to be at any one point. So we can say if we're going to go to a location and we want to figure out the best time to shoot for when the sun's in the best spot. So we can go on here and go whatever the date is. And then it shows you where the sun's going to be at any one point, and then we can figure out, so we need to shoot maybe in the afternoon, or we need to shoot in the morning, or like we have to wait till, a month's time before the sun's going to be in the right spot for where we actually need to shoot. That's definitely been a huge help for us in the last kind of few weeks since I've got it.
Cool.
I've just been able to understand kind of where everything is and time.
So bringing the understanding the natural environment obviously go along with what you're doing.
Yeah.
Interesting. Cool app.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I
it's
didn't
actually
know.
really cool.
I never heard of that. So, okay. So what about what's one piece of tech that you've bought recently that you just now couldn't live without?
My C100 camera.
Your new camera?
Yeah.
It's not a very small piece of tech, but we'll go with it. Okay.
No, let's go. Okay, not recent, but my Apple Watch.
Apple Watch.
Let's go with that.
Okay.
I have one as an upgrade to the new one, but I've been holding off. But that, I tried, kind of like reading books. I tried to wear watches, I just couldn't wear them.
Right.
And then I got this maybe February this year, and I've literally worn it every single day since I got it.
Yeah.
It's kind of, it's almost like just an extension of my arm now.
And so that helps you with notifications. What is it about the watch that's really changed things for you?
So definitely the notifications, having that quick snapshot into kind of what's coming up, what's happening. Obviously, you can see on my home screen, I can kind of see the weather, kind of tracking your activity. So how much you've been doing, quick timers, what the date is, what the time is, and basically what's coming up in my calendar. So it's really cool just being able to get a snapshot of real quick of what's happening rather than picking up your phone, kind of going into it, all that kind of stuff. Obviously, tracking the fitness as well. That was kind of one of the factors in getting it. I was originally going to get a Fitbit, but then I decided on getting this because it kind of combines a watch with a Fitbit and then kind of a bit more of the iPhone techie stuff together as well. That was my deciding factor in getting the Apple Watch. Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we're clearly not being remunerated for discussing the sale of Apple Watch. Yeah, there will be no affiliate link in this in the show notes. But yeah, cool, fantastic. Yeah, I've ummed and ahed over it. I actually still enjoy a traditional watch. At the moment, weirdly, I'm wearing a Fitbit and a watch because I do enjoy, although the analog watch is really dead, but to me it's just still a piece, I guess, fashion. It's just a habit.
Yeah.
And I quite enjoy it at the moment. I'm running two.
Yeah.
But I can see a lot of value, maybe not in the current set of tech and innovation level, but the watch as it comes through into the future and has its own SIM card and everything else that's happening, I think can take over a lot of things that the phone's even doing for you. So it's pretty exciting.
I think the big one with the new Apple Watch 3, which does have the SIM card in it.
Yeah.
I think the big thing is your payments and stuff. So actually, the good example this morning, I went to the shops to buy some stuff. Didn't have my wallet, so I quickly got my phone, did the tap and go. But now, obviously, with the new watch, having the SIM card, you can do it on your watch. So not having to kind of take your phone with you, take your wallet with you, everything's just there. Having it on you is just ridiculous.
It's pretty amazing.
Yeah.
Should be able to open your car from there soon, really. I mean,
Almost.
that tech's there.
Yeah.
It'll start to happen.
Exactly.
So that's really cool. So what's your favourite Disney movie?
Favorite Disney movie? I'm going to get confused between Disney and
Pixar.
Yeah.
Whatever.
Okay. Is Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs Disney? I'm not sure what that is. I think that's Sony.
We'll pass it. We'll pass it. Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs.
Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs.
Why?
It's just funny. It's got so many dad jokes in it, which I just love. So many puns. Just the visuals in it. There's one shot where he's on the end. Have you actually seen it?
I think I have, but I don't really remember it well.
So
I've seen some of it. I mean, I've got kids, so
Yeah,
the chances are I've watched 12 minutes of it.
Yeah.
And they've moved on.
And then moved on.
But I've definitely seen some of it.
Yeah. So there's this one shot where he's basically on the end of this bridge, and this basically food cloud comes in, but it's like this like magical rainbow color. And I remember seeing that, just being like, whoa, like that is so cool. Just the visual elements of it and kind of how they put it all together just looked like ridiculous. Hey.
So that's kind of why I asked the question, because I assume that you probably can't watch a movie the same way that I can, or the general public watches a movie, you know, sort of per se, because you'll just be analysing things differently. I mean, do you draw inspiration from that type of thing, like watching animated movies, watching blockbusters? I mean, do you documentaries? I mean, is that, you know, do you consume any content like that to try and, you know, give you an edge?
Yeah, I try and not be analytical when I'm watching movies. Like, I try my best, but, you know, it slowly creeps back in. Yeah, like if there's a shot where it's, you know, a bit grainy or underlit or that kind of stuff, it frustrates you, but you try like, just don't get frustrated. It's fine. Calm down. Yeah. But I do draw a lot of inspiration from obviously kind of that Hollywood style cinematic effects and stuff. That's kind of what we try to bring that into our work. So our whole thing is basically cinematic visual productions, but without that Hollywood price tag. So being able to kind of watch cool things like, you know, the Avengers and all that kind of stuff where it has that really cinematic feel, and then kind of bring that into my work has definitely been a big part. Awesome.
So we'll wrap up in a minute, but if there was sort of one thing that you could say to the audience, one thing they could do to amplify their business, what would you say?
One thing to amplify your business. I probably should have thought about this before.
Well, I assume it's got something to do with video, but you know, you can go wherever you like.
We'll say video. Definitely do video. Like if you're not producing content.
Like, give me some specifics. I haven't done any video. Okay. We're not producing any content. Like, what can I do to get started? All
right. So pick up your phone if you haven't got it, and open the camera app and start recording something.
Slow down. People might be doing this right now.
So if you got the camera open, then go to the video and then start recording. It can be, you know, like a forward-facing camera or facing outwards, and just, you know, start talking. I think the biggest thing with people is they think they have to start creating content, and then they just jump straight into the deep end, and then they go, oh, my content's shit, or, you know, I'm not good at talking on camera and all this stuff. And it's like, you know, spend the next 2, 3, 4 weeks just filming yourself talking on camera.
You don't have to post it.
Yeah,
right?
Exactly.
I mean, I think it's a massive barrier. I think someone thinks like anything that's filmed is like set in stone. Yeah. You don't have to post it.
Yeah, and it's literally
better if you do, but
2 touches and you can delete it. But just being on camera, like a lot of the people we work with, a lot of businesses that are starting to do it, they just don't have that background in speaking to camera, and then it makes it really hard when you're trying to deliver something, and then they're getting frustrated because their screen presence isn't very good, and then you're getting frustrated because like they can't put a simple sentence together. But it's just a simple fact that people get, I don't know, something happens as soon as you put a camera on you. It's like, oh, I don't know what's happening, and I'm just freaking out. But definitely just spending the time to just be comfortable with being on camera.
Just start, right?
Exactly.
Just start.
Yeah.
All right. Well, look, it's been a pleasure. I won't take up any more of your time. Thanks very much for jumping on the show, Andrew. And so if people want to find out a bit more about you and what you do, where should they go and check out on the web and on social? Yeah, cool. So arisedigital.com.au is our website, or at arisedigitalwa. We're on Facebook, Instagram, Snapchat, which I don't really use that much, and I'm getting into Twitter and LinkedIn. So Twitter's a new one for me, so just starting there. But definitely Facebook and Instagram are the big ones that we're on. So if you want to check out some of our work, definitely go on there. Awesome. All right, we'll link up those few things we talked about in the notes. But thanks very much for joining us, and maybe we'll do this again. Sounds good. Thanks, Matt. Cheers. Thanks. Hey guys, Matt Hanham here, and I hope you really enjoyed that Amplify Your Business podcast. I thought the episode was really exciting, and I'd love to hear your comments as well. We also have plenty of other episodes, so check us out on the iTunes store.